All right, with the quadratic equation. First off, on your paper, I want you to write down the quadratic equation. And the good thing is you don't have to memorize it. It's on your formula chart and you'll have it. Okay? X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I know, I'm going to try out for the voice. I'm so lying. Okay, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That looks like some crazy thing. Okay? It's not really that bad. This is the formula for the quadratic equation. Now, if we put an equation, the quadratic equation in standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. What do you notice between these two things? See how the formula up here? The formula uses a, b, and c, right? Guess where you're getting it from? From your equation that's in standard form. All right, so make sure, so this is the standard form of a quadratic equation. You want that down on your paper so that you have it and know it. So you can refer back to it as we go through. All right, here we go. You ready? Because I'm about to move the screen. No? Yes, no, maybe so? Okay. All right, here's our first equation. Let me get a good one here. I'm going to have, which one do I want to do? Okay. X squared minus 5x equals negative 6. All right. Before we can do anything, it has to be put in standard form. That's the first thing you need to do. Is it in standard form? Nope. What do I need to move? That's 6. I'm going to move the 6 to the other side. You can't just put it there. Remember, you've got to add 6 to both sides. So I get x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. All right, now, I need to find a, b, and c. What I mean, see, I have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A is the number in front of x squared. So what is a? No, what number's there? A 1. Remember, if there's not a number there, that's a 1. B is what number? Negative 5. C is 6. All right, there's your A, B, and C. That's what we're going to use to put into the quadratic equation. All right, so remember, I have my quadratic equation, negative b plus or minus. You don't have to rewrite this. You should already have it written down. Whoa, what am I writing? B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, negative b. So I'm going to put a negative, and then I'm going to put parentheses, and I want you to put the b in there. The b is negative 5. Now, I'm going to explain the plus or minus later, but we're going to write plus or minus. That'll make sense in just a little bit. The square root. Now, always put your b in parentheses. So I have negative 5 squared minus 4. People say, where does that 4 come from? The 4 is in the formula. That's always going to be there. Times a and times c. Okay, let's see. A is 1, C is 6. Let's see if I can move this formula over. There we go. All over 2 times A. A is 1. All right, what I wrote in the black is the formula, the things that always stay there. What I wrote in the blue is what we substituted in for those letters. Okay? And I got those from up here after we found A, B, and C. Now, this is, after you have this, because we haven't done any math yet, first thing you're going to do is find what's called the discriminant. That's this thing underneath the square root sign. Oops, let's see. That right there is called the discriminant. It's more important to know, like you're going to work with that word when you're in Algebra 2. All right, so we need to go into the handy-dandy calculator. This is where I told you need to practice this and make sure you're getting the same thing I am. Let's put this in here. I've got -5 in parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses 1 parentheses 6. Look, I'm in the home screen. I'm not in y equals. Now press enter. Did everybody get 1? If you didn't, look and see what happened. Did you accidentally put like a negative sign instead of a minus sign or something? We put in y1. Be careful. All right, so now that whole thing underlined right here is just a 1. So look here. What is a negative times a negative? Positive. So I have +5 plus or minus the square root. And what did we find was that? With the discriminant was what? 1 all over. Now, 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, great. Now, here's where the plus and minus come in. When we find roots, aren't there normally 2 roots? There's normally 2 numbers, right? So it's going to be 5 plus the square root of 1 divided by 2. 5 minus the square root of 1 over 2. Okay, repeating it, this right here, that plus or minus means just break them apart where you put plus in between one of them, minus in between the other. Now we need to find, we're almost done, actually. Put the top in the calculator. So let's go to, in here, I'm going to put 5 plus the square root of 1, and I want you to press enter. Now, the last part of this says what? Divide by 2, right? The square root button is second and the x squared button. Was that your question? Okay. Now I'm going to press divide by 2 and press enter. That's my answer. It crosses at x equals 3, at 3, 0. Do the other one. So I'm going to go 5 minus this time the square root, where'd it go, of 1. Press enter. And now divide that by your bottom number by 2. You don't always divide by 2. You divide by whatever number's at the bottom. It just depends. You'll see on the next one. So I get x equals 2. All right. This is normally not what happens. It's normally not nice, easy numbers. Normally they are decimals because that's why you use the quadratic formula. Let's try the next one. Ready? I'm going to try, oh, golly gee, -12x squared minus 40x minus 28. I really hope you're writing all this down. Hint, hint. I'll tell you later. But if not, you're going to feel silly. All right. I told y'all step 1 was what? To have it in quadratic standard form. Okay? So now I have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. What is a? -12. What is b? -40. What is c? -28. All right. Let me write my equation down here. That's why I told y'all to keep it on your paper so you can refer to it. It will always be on your formula chart. Ready? It says -b. So I'm going to put negative and put in parentheses what is b? -40 plus or minus the square root b squared. -40 squared minus 4 times A. Well, what is A? A is negative 12 times C, negative 28. All over 2 is always there, times A. What is A? Oops, writing the wrong number. All right, so now what you need to do is the discriminant. Put this underneath the square root sign. Do that first. Put that in there right now. Again, if you're not putting it in the calculator, making sure that's where your mistakes come because you have to practice it. So I'm going to put parentheses. You've got to use the parentheses when you square it. Minus 4 times negative 12 times negative 28. If you make a mistake, if it comes up with a different answer than mine, you may have, or an error, you may have put a minus sign in here instead of a negative. And press enter. Good point. Good question. What did I do wrong? I did. I have negative 4 in there. So, yep, I'm wrong. Try it again. All right, so negative 40. Let's try that squared. Minus 4 times negative 12 times negative 28. Oh, and I missed a parenthesis too. What the heck's happening?
No, you can just,
Hi, chalupas.
you could have just put it,
I'm going to do it my way. How about this? Did y'all get 256?
yeah.
Yes? All right. Jay didn't? All right. Did you see? Look at Lawrence and see what the difference is. What did you put in there differently? All right. So now, what is a negative times a negative? Positive. So I've got 40 plus or minus the square root. What did we find at 256? Was that right? All over. Now, look, Johnny, 2 times negative 12. Yeah, you have to multiply. It's negative 24. All right, we have simplified all the way down to here. Okay, let me back up. Look, all I did, we just multiplied this right here, right? And I got 256. Then right here, a negative times a negative made this positive. And you multiplied these two bottom numbers and it went right here. Okay, so now we have to split it up into 2 roots. We have to split up the plus or minus. So 40 plus the square root of 256 divided by negative 24. 40 minus the square root of 256 divided by negative 24. How did I get a positive what? Because a positive 40, because a negative times a negative. All right, so now let's try this. Let's do the first one. I've got, oops, I need my 0 in there. You take 40. That's not a 40. Try again. 40 plus the square root of 256 and press enter. Do not do the dividing yet. Press enter. Now, divide by negative 24 and press enter. One of my solutions, x equals negative 2.33, repeating. You're going to go to 2 places after the decimal. You don't do what? Oh, no math, enter. You're going to leave it as a decimal because if the test questions gave you a fraction, then you could do that. Now the next one, we'll do 40 minus the square root of 256 and press enter. And now divide by negative 24. This one crosses nicely at x equals -1. Let's try one more. No, you're not going to die, Dondrick. Here we go. Ready? All right. I've got -2x squared minus x equals 6. -6. Let me make this easier to read. All right. Can I find A, B, and C right now? No. Why not? I have to put it in standard form. So I have to add 6 to each side. I get -2x squared minus x plus 6 equals 0. Now that it's in standard form, now you can label A, B, and C. What does A equal? -2. What does B equal? -1. What does C equal? 6. All right. You guys have the formula. You can try and put it in there right now. Okay. Take a minute right now, and I want you to try and put the letters, the numbers in there for the letters right now. So when you guys put these in, first off, it says -b. You should have done negative and then had -1 plus or minus the square root, right? B squared, -1 squared minus 4 times A. Let's see, what was A? -2 times C, which is 6. All over 2 times A. A is -2. Next step was to go and multiply this right here, the discriminant. Where's my calculator? There we go. All right, so I want to clear all this out. Let's go. I'm going to put parentheses, -1 parentheses squared minus 4 times -2 times 6. So everything that's underneath the square root sign, I put in there and I press enter. Did you get 49? No? If you didn't, bring me your calculator. Make sure you put a negative in there. Make sure that you have the right signs. So now what's a negative times a negative? A positive. Okay, hold on a sec. All right. So now a negative times a negative. This is a +1 plus or minus the square root. What was that? I forgot. What is it? 49 over. What is 2 times -2? -4. All right, we got it down to this. Yes, ma'am. Bring me your, did you put -1 squared minus 4 times -2 times 6? No? Did you do a different number? Okay. All right, so now we have 2 roots. Ready? 1 plus the square root of 49 divided by -4. And 1 minus the square root of 49 divided by -4. All right, move this over. Do it one part at a time. 1 plus the square root of 49. Enter. Should have got an 8. Now do divide by -4. Should be -2. How did you get 7? Look, did you do the plus or the minus? Oh, good, great point. A lot of the mistakes come from you put in there like 1 and then square root 49. Okay, be careful. Don't do that. It's got to have the plus and the minus. So now the next one is 1 minus the square root of 49, enter, then divide by negative 4. So now this one is x equals, whoa, what was it, 1.5? Or was it negative? You should have put 1 minus negative, or square root of 49, got negative 6. Divided by negative 4, you should have gotten 1.5. Now, what next one, what's negative? You're confusing me. You're confuzzling me. All right. Listen, a lot of people think that you have to have this type of calculator in order to do this. You don't. You just need a calculator that has a square root sign. And I have a feeling on your phones there's a square root button on there. Okay? Look. Because if I told you you found it, you won $1 million, y'all would be on your phone all day. Okay? So don't even try me.